here having issues in your own relationship, or you're here because you are looking to help your clients, I want to give you some tips and tools that you can use today. My name is Linda Kroll, and for 35 years, I've been an internal family systems therapist, a mediator, and a Chopra Certified Teacher of Meditation, Yoga, and Ayurveda. So in my 35 years of working with Dick Schwartz at the IFS Institute with all the teachers there, I have been an assistant trainer. I have taught many courses on the conferences, and I wrote the book, Compassionate Mediation, How to Add Passion to Your Marriage or Compassion to Your Divorce. And I want to share with you today how IFS informs everything I do, both personally and professionally, and how I've taught it to my clients and to the people that I've trained as therapists, mediators, coaches, clergy, lawyers. So, to begin, what is IFS? Now, you may know IFS from your own work, internal family systems. I believe we have a healthy self, capital S self. And when we're in self, we're calm, clear, and compassionate. You know those moments? They're usually just moments because we're not always in self. And certainly when we're looking at the possibility of ending a marriage, we're not in self. We're not calm, clear, compassionate. And we exile the parts of us sometimes that are scared or sad or hurt. We try to manage by being pleasing, nice, caretaking, hardworking. Sometimes we put on what's called a pseudo self, where you look like you're in self, but you're really feeling a lot of feelings underneath that you're not acknowledging. And then people act out in different ways. They get extreme. They eat too much, drink too much. Some people go have an affair, get depressed, get enraged, go get an attorney and say they want a divorce. That's not the way to do it. If someone, yourself or your clients, have considered leaving a relationship, there's a lot of parts that are triggered. Parts that are carrying burdens from their childhood. Parts that are carrying burdens from this relationship. But I tell all my clients that they've each done the best they knew how to do according to their level of awareness, and now they can do better. So I give them in the first session the tools to do better. And I want to give those to you. Internal Family Systems was started by Dick Schwartz about 35 years ago. And now it's popular all over the world. People line up for their trainings. People find therapists to offer it because it works on the premise that the internal family systems is based on the premise that we all have a healthy self. When I talk to my clients, I ask them if they have this word for spirituality. In other words, do they believe in God, higher power, nature, universe? And if they believe in God, I ask them, where is God? And often they say God is everywhere and God is inside of us. So how much of your God energy or your higher self energy are you bringing to your relationship now? How much self energy are your clients bringing to their relationship? And even if you're an IFS therapist, I know we've been taught many ways to access self, unburden parts, direct access to self by meditating, journaling, praying. But I have a system that I put into place that helps you look at a situation in a 45-minute session, offer a meditation to get to self so that you can actually work with the person's higher self, their higher consciousness, their God energy, and truly, as we say, change the face of divorce one heart at a time. So we can change the face of divorce by telling ourselves that it doesn't have to be the same old way. When I wrote the book, Dick was kind enough to say that divorce brings out the worst in us and often leaves lasting scars. That I'm a master at lifting divorcing couples out of their narrow protective perspectives, and they learn the larger lessons from their relationships and proceed best on the best interest of all involved. This is relationship healing at its best. I'm very grateful to Dick and all that he offered me in terms of the background for creating this process. And in my book, and you can get a free chapter of the book at lindacrollbook.com, in my book, it talks about how to get to self, what to do about your parts. But what I want to do first is talk about compassionate mediation, what it is and what it isn't. First of all, what it is a process you can use with an individual or a couple or by yourself to talk about all of your feelings, thoughts, needs from your highest and best self with appropriate boundaries and looking at every possible option. In other words, compassionate mediation is more than marriage counseling, because many times people come to marriage counseling to, quote, save the marriage, but they have a part that's thought about leaving. So what do they do with that part? They have to exile it, push it aside, pretend everything's okay. We don't do that when we practice compassionate mediation. We help people communicate compassionately, which is connect to their best self, let go of all their limiting beliefs and judgments that those managers hold, unburden the pain from the past that we've exiled from years ago, and relate from our hearts. That's what I did in my divorce. That's what I help my clients do in their divorce. It's a different way to divorce. It's a way to preserve a family, because I've found that families need not be broken, but can be peacefully and respectfully restructured. And you can help your clients restructure their family. You can restructure your family. And should there be a divorce, there can be a compassionate divorce, and I'm going to show you how. Because everyone is looking to have their needs of the heart met: attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. We don't have the empathy we need, so we go at each other. And Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen master, said to reconcile conflicting parties, we have to go to one side and tell them about the pain of the other side, and go to the first side and tell them about the pain from the other side. That is the way to peace. That's the way to change the situation. So what we're doing today is learning those steps, learning those skills for changing the situation in the first session. So what do I mean by in the first session? Well, I'm going to give you an example that happened this week. It was on a Zoom call. 2 people came to me. She was done. He didn't want to be done, but they've been harboring resentments for a long time. They've been sitting on their anger. They've been sarcastic. They've threatened divorce, but they've never really learned what they needed to know to create change in the relationship. And the reason compassionate mediation does so much with IFS is because compassionate mediation, as I said, is more than individual counseling, but it's used with individuals and it works with individuals. It's more than marriage counseling, because you can bring in and talk about the ambivalent parts, the parts that have thought about leaving, even the parts that may have had an affair, the parts that wonder, what would it be like if I were single? What would I get if I were to divorce in terms of maintenance or the house? And sometimes having the courage to talk about an ending creates a whole new beginning. And that's what we do in compassionate mediation, is we give people the tools to compassionately communicate from their highest and best self with calm, clear, compassionate, courageous, confident energy and change the dynamics. And I do that in the first session. And here's how. If someone comes to me, I'm not sure why they're coming to me. They could be coming for individual counseling. They could be coming for couples counseling. They could be coming from divorce mediation. And often, if they're coming for mediation or if they're in counseling, there's often one party who's more invested in staying, and the other party might really be considering leaving. And my job and your job is to help people bridge that gap. So I tell the initiator, the person who thinks they want a divorce, that if they want to get a divorce now, they'd have to file for divorce. Then they would have to wait for their partner's attorney, give them 30 days to file for divorce. The courts would be involved. So would lawyers. It would take a long time. It would take a lot of money. It would do a lot of damage. And there would be no self-energy brought to the situation. The hurt, the sadness, the anger, you owe me, that would be part of what people would be listening to. And you would be refereeing. Okay, but we don't do that. We teach people how to get to self, how to bring that calm, compassionate energy in. And here's how I do it. Whenever someone comes to me, first thing I ask them if they have any questions about me, because I want to see what they know, what they would like to know more about. And then I ask for a few details. What's going on and how can I help? So I'll ask you, what's going on? How can I help? What is your partner doing that's making you upset? What do you do that makes them upset? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How is your behavior? And if I had a magic wand, what would you like to see happen? And you get a lot with the magic wand question. And then if I'm working with an individual, I continue the dialogue. If I'm working with a couple, talk to them individually for 15 minutes each. And I get this base information from both of them, because often I get more truth when they're separated than I do when they're together. And when I'm interviewing them each individually, I ask about their family of origin very briefly. And on my notes, I'm taking a genogram: mom, dad, siblings. I'm listening for what was their mother like? What was their father like? Where are they in their sibling order? Are there any family secrets? Was there any addiction? And then I ask them to describe their partner's family of origin. And the reason I ask them to do that is because then I'm listening from what was the milieu in which their partner grew up. And sometimes asking that question of yourself, if it's your relationship or helping your clients do that, is it gives them a perspective, a framework for understanding perhaps why their partner is limited, why they don't talk about feelings, why they get angry so fast. Did they grow up in an alcoholic home? Are they codependent? Are they the first that had to take care of everyone, or the baby that was neglected, or the middle that was forgotten? In just a few minutes, you can get a background on your own situation and on your clients. And then, after I've asked them the questions, the magic wand questions, and the spiritual questions, meaning if I were to use the word spiritual, what does that mean to you? So for some, it's God. For others, it might be higher power, or whatever the reason is that they're thinking of what self energy is. I then do a meditation before the session is over to help them get a felt sense of what self is. So again, we're talking about compassionate mediation, the ability to help people compassionately communicate about everything, how to be their best self, create a compassionate relationship, explore their options, which they usually don't know, understand their rights and finances, which they usually don't know, and relate from their heart and create the relationship they truly desire and deserve, no matter what form it takes in the future. And here's why IFS is so important. It's not really the details of who gets the house and if there's maintenance and what to do about parenting. The challenging part is to help each party get to self, get to a place where they can listen with curiosity, where they're not going to defend their egos, but they're coming with a Buddhist mind to creatively solve the problem from a higher level of consciousness than the problem began. Because we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And there's nothing that brings out a fire drill of parts like the thought of ending a marriage. But it doesn't have to be that way. I always say that families need not be broken, but can be peacefully and respectfully restructured, and that we can help our clients heal and ourselves heal. And we can protect our children from the shrapnel of our animosity. And you know what I mean. So I became an IFS therapist 35 years ago. I was so grateful to meet Dick and understand the concept of self in parts. My background is I got married to my college sweetheart. We were happily married for 20 years. And then when it looked like the relationship was headed for divorce, I became a mediator. And I thought maybe I could mediate my own divorce, which is unfortunately like trying to deliver your own baby. Might be possible. Don't try it. Because you need a third party. You need to find an expert who can create a safe forum for you to talk about everything. And if you're a therapist, a coach, a mediator, an attorney, you are that forum. You create the environment where people can talk about their pain, listen with empathy, and then make plans for the future. And in my trainings, my compassionate communication, my compassionate mediation coaching certification, which is starting soon. And if you want, you can get a free roadmap of my process at lindakroll.com/roadmap. I'll put all this into the chat for you in a little bit. But if you go to lindakroll.com roadmap, you can get a roadmap of the process that I'm describing. And also, if you'd like to sign up for a brief chat with me so we can see if my next certification will be a fit for you. Because what I do is I blend IFS therapy with live training of everything that I'm mentioning so that you can take it to your practice and become an expert in conflict resolution. We'll talk more about that later. Let's go back to the clients. Excuse me. So the clients have now shared with me details for 15 minutes. I have a picture of how much self energy is there, what parts are activated, what are they exiling? Are they hurt, sad, scared? A lot of codependents exile their anger because it wasn't safe to be angry if they grew up in a family of origin where there was addiction, or if their partner is abusive, or they have their own issues. So some people exile anger and need to talk for it and set boundaries, and other people need to really process their pain and their sadness in a way that lets them move through it and decide what they want to do about the relationship. So I help them see how they manage. I mean, do they manage by being sarcastic with each other, withholding, judgmental? Do they get angry? Do they fight? So I'm listening for how do they manage, and then what do they do to get extreme? Has one of them had an affair? Have they threatened divorce? Have they seen a lawyer? And divorce does not necessarily have to be an extreme behavior, but when it's self-led, when it comes from your calm, compassionate center, where you say, I care about you, I care about what we've created, I don't want to decimate our family, I don't want to decimate our children and our finances and our friends, but I do think it's time to move on. We can help them. I can help you learn how to do that. And it blends compassionate mediation with self-leadership. And we do that with our clients in the first 45 minutes. And I do it with you in the certification because the live trainings we do help you work on your higher self-energy. So back to my clients. They have just told me in 15 minutes their life story. I wrote it on my note cards. I give you all the questions to ask. I give you all the ways to introduce self in parts. And here's how I do it. I say, I believe we all have a healthy self. And when we're in self, we're calm, clear, and compassionate. But we're not in self very often. We exhale some parts, we manage some parts, and we get extreme in some parts. And my job is to help you get to self. And based on your families of origin and based on what you've learned along the way, you and your partner have both done the best you know how to do. And now you can do it differently. And I want to help. So when I met privately with the initiator, I tell the person who wants the divorce, they have to be able to talk about feelings a little bit because the person who doesn't want a divorce is just going to stop coming. And then the initiator will have to file for divorce, get an attorney. They'll have to get an attorney. The course will be involved. 2 years later, thousands of dollars later, much pain and suffering later, they still won't be divorced because they haven't talked about it. So I tell the initiator, you have to talk about feelings. I tell the non-initiator, the person who doesn't want a divorce, who wants to stay, that they have to be able to talk about what a divorce would look like. Otherwise, their partner, who doesn't want to do, quote, marriage counseling anymore, will leave. So that's where we straddle with compassionate mediation. How do we talk about everything? How do we talk about what would happen if you got divorced? What would happen financially? Where are your assets? How much do you spend a month? What do you do about parenting? Who would live in the house? What do you tell people? Are you going to separate first? There are weeks and months of issues to be discussed. And in my certification, I give you the roadmap on how to help your clients do that. And in my compassionate mediation program, I give it to you if you need it for your own personal use. And you can direct message me and learn more. You can get my book at lindacrollbook.com and get a first chapter of all of this that I'm talking about, self and parts. You can get a roadmap of my process and sign up for a brief chat with me to see if the certification is a fit for you. And you can also check out your relationship by getting a relationship assessment and seeing how are you showing up in your life right now? How are you showing up in your relationship? Are you showing up in internal family systems vernacular from your higher self? Are you really bringing your calm, compassionate awareness to this session, to your relationship? And in my studies, as I mentioned, I got married to my college sweetheart, and 20 years in, we were looking at a divorce. I became a mediator, and then a couple years later, I met Dick Schwartz, and my life changed. because internal family systems informed everything I do. And when I'm practicing, I'm at my finest. I once had my daughter intern with me when I was doing a mediation. And when I'm working, I feel like we're all divinely led. We're all channels of love and beacon of light. And when we practice taking care of our own self energy, we show up that way. We show up and we just are present to help heal what needs to be healed and to hold the light up where there's darkness. And that's why, for the people in my certification program, I am selective because I like to work with people that understand this, that have a desire to learn more, that have a desire to take the IFS terminology and the higher consciousness that I learned at the Chopra Center when I became a teacher of meditation, yoga, and Ayurveda, and to take the mediation skills and the communication skills and to use those now in your own relationship and with your clients. So once I have my couple back together and I give them my little blurb, I ask them, so now what happens when you're thinking about your relationship? And you can do this right now. What's happening when you think about your relationship? Or when you think about working with a couple that has this relationship? When you talk about the sarcasm or the hurt or the pain or the fear or the worry or the anger or the resentments or the judgment or the blame, what happens to your body? It constricts, right? And in that constriction, your parts are taking over. So what I ask them to do every session, every first session, is to ask you the same. Put your hands on your abdomen and let's take 3 belly breaths. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. Last one. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. Good. Now let your breathing return to norm. And even if you do this with a client in the middle of a session, or you do it with your partner in the middle of a discussion, you'll have more self energy. You'll find that you'll be more clear, more confident, more courageous, be able to stay connected to each other, even though you have parts that are angry, sad, scared, etc. And then what I do in every first session is I do a meditation. I do a guided meditation to help people ground, allow the nurturing energy from the earth to come up through their head to the crown of their head, to bring down nurturing energy from the sky, nature, universe, higher power, God. Surround themselves with that compassionate energy. Focus that compassion inward, because compassion starts with yourself. So feel compassion for everything that you're feeling. And as my friend Sark says, she's a full cup of love, sharing her overflow with the world. You can become, and you can help your clients become, full cups of compassion, sharing their overflow with the world. But the overflow they're sharing is because they've had compassion for themselves first. I always say that love is the answer, but it starts with loving yourself. So doing your own work. So compassionate mediation, IFS, are my version of compassionate communication. And in compassionate communication, we do 4 things. We connect to our best self, and there's ways to do that. Meditate, journal, pray, go for a walk, go for a walk in nature, do your own therapy. Then you let go of your limiting beliefs and judgments. You're willing to change the filter through which you're judging yourself and your partner. He always does this, she never does that, I should have left a long time ago. You stop doing that. You stop the judgments. And then you unburden pain from the past. And you can do that with me. You can do that in the Compassion Mediation Program. I can give you the tools to help your clients do that. As IFS therapists, we have many unburdening techniques. And once you've unburdened the pain, let go of your limiting beliefs, connect it to your best self, you relate from your heart. And that is how we change the face of divorce one heart at a time. Because to continue on with my personal story, married my college sweetheart, was a lawyer, became a mediator, finally became a therapist, met Dick Schwartz, blended them all together because I knew there had to be a better way to get divorced, a better way to end a marriage with 2 people that once promised to love each other forever. And there is. It's compassionate mediation. And I gave it the wrong name because it's not just mediation. It can be used with individuals. It can be used with people that come in with eating disorders, depression, because what it does, it teaches you how to be compassionate with yourself and how to look at how you're relating to yourself and others from your highest and best self. And so it's more than divorce counseling, it's more than marriage counseling, and it's a blend of that and spiritual growth and emotional healing. I like to say that compassionate mediation brings emotional and spiritual healing along with legal and financial information and support. So we're coming up on 26 minutes, and I promised you I'd be done soon. So I want to just offer you the opportunity to join me in my next cohort, Compassionate Mediation Coaching Certification. It's going to be a very small group. I work with you personally. We meet every other week for 3 months. You have access to all of my trainings, handouts, videos, scripts. I give you manuals on how to work with people. So whether you're looking for more expertise, more impact, more income, it's all in the certification. But most importantly, I I have so many wonderful people from around the world who've taken this training. And it's a special brand of people. You are very self-led. You are spiritual. You are a healer. You know you're here to make a difference. You probably have lots of tools that you're already using. Maybe you need more clients. Maybe you have enough clients. Maybe you'd like to work less and more efficiently. But most of all, you're open-hearted. You're open to learning. You're open to sharing. Because what's important is that the live classes we do for 2 hours every 2 weeks give you a chance to process your feelings, your situations, your clients, your life, and take whatever I'm teaching you and use it now to where you want to go. So if you want to do groups, if you want to speak, if you want to do mediation, if you want to do more couples counseling, if you want to be better at what you're doing now, if you want to have a way to outreach to others, to let other therapists, mediators, attorneys, clergy know that you have an expertise in conflict resolution, because you will. Because I give you the benefit of everything I learned from Dick Schwartz at IFS and all the many wonderful teachers at the Institute. I give you the benefit of my mediation, my law, and my spiritual coaching, which I think is really the most important. How to bring our best self, our highest self energy to our relationships, to our families, to our communities, and to the world. With everything that's been going on in the world right now, we need more compassionate communication. We need more self-leadership. We need a way to intervene when there's conflict and stop the conflict. Stop it in a way that allows people to talk about the pain and the sadness underneath the anger, that allows them to say what they need to say to make the changes they need to make in their relationship. And I'd like to offer you the settlement prayer that I gave my husband the night before we got divorced. Actually, I brought it to the courthouse. So we were married and then we were separated for a very long time because I did try to mediate my own divorce. And 10 years later, we were finally in that courtroom. But a lot of damage had been done. There was no program like compassionate mediation. You either had to go to a marriage counselor and pretend you were there just to save the marriage, or you had to go talk to a lawyer before you were really ready. And once you were on those trajectories, there was no middle ground. Well, compassionate mediation in IFS gives you that middle ground. It gives you a roadmap. It gives you the yellow brick road. And that's in the lindakroll.com roadmap. You'll get the roadmap and find out more. But first, for now, I may, I want to read you the settlement prayer that I gave to my husband and our lawyers. And in humor, his lawyer took a look at it and said, "Here, Pete, is there anything you want to change on this?" But he didn't. And here's what I wrote. Excuse me. I pray for a peaceful and respectful settlement meeting in which all parties come together from their highest self and their truest connection to your guidance, wisdom, and love. I pray that all parts of ourselves that are angry, fearful, defensive, revengeful, retributive, punitive, unloving, unforgiving, sad, young, abandoned, resentful, negative, hurting, and hurtful, that all these parts be quelled with the leadership of self, coming from a place of trust in your presence and light. I pray for compassion, forgiveness, gratitude, and appreciation. Although our marriage has come down to a business closing of money and asset division, I ask that we remember the love that brought us together and the wonderful children which our union has borne. For their sakes as well as our own, we wish to put an end to this process in as respectful and loving a way as possible. Although we each carry our sadness and pain and mutual regrets, I pray that we can look beyond this difficult period to a time when we can be friends and coexist peacefully. I pray that our once intact family can be rearranged to two intact and loving homes where our children feel connected and comfortable. I pray that we can hold in a different light the love that once joined us forever, and that on the deepest level, we wish each other well as we let go and let God direct our lives. For the sake of all we once had and for all we had planned to share together, let us now finalize the terms of our marital dissolution so that we are both free to get on with our lives. Let us complete this last painful task with a sense of trust in the love we once shared and hopefully can remember after this part is over. Let us not work from purely simple and self-serving motives, but keep in mind the general welfare of each of us and our children. Let us request our attorneys to contribute what is needed for the mutual benefit of all concerned. In the end, let us know that we behave civilly, that we can look back with a clear conscience, and that as much as we could, we came from our hearts. God bless us and direct us all. Amen. I share that with you. If you'd like a copy of it, you can direct message me. And it's also in the book. And I would love to offer all that I can. So get the roadmap if you'd like to learn how to help your clients become their best self, create a compassionate relationship with empathy, explore their options because I teach you what their options could be, understand their rights and finances because I show you how to go over all of that and what to offer them. You don't have to be a lawyer to give them information that you can help them process. So as you give them information that they would have to know to get divorced because you have now become an expert based on my training, then you spend weeks, some months, sometimes months, and maybe years helping them work through the emotions that go along with these decisions. And you can sign up to get my book here and get reminded of some of what I'm saying. It's also available on Amazon and in the IFS bookstore. And I am here to help you in every way I can. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're listening to the replay and you have questions for me, please get back to me. I will answer your questions. But you can work with me. I can train you in the Compassionate Mediation Coaching Certification. I have a Compassionate Mediation program for individuals and couples who could use the 6 hours of videos of everything I would teach you in person. And I'd love to share the benefit of all that I've learned. So please get the roadmap, sign up for a brief call because I would like to offer whatever I can, whether you decide to be in the certification or not, and get to know you better. Because if you're here, if you're interested in either compassionate mediation or internal family systems, we speak the same language. We're made of the same cloth. And I'd love to support you, and I'd love to help you get to where you are, to where you need to be personally and professionally. So please check back when you can, and I look forward to staying connected. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.